Boof! It's like dueling Thomases! Hello there, welcome to episode 13 of The Way I Collect Thomas the Tank merchandise. The bulk of my collection comes from a local charity shop, but these items here came from someone who had a garage sale a few houses away from where I live. So sure, people on YouTube understand I collect Thomas the Tank items. They probably understand I'm trying to make one of the largest Thomas the Tank collections in the world, and I'm getting there. But people in my neighbourhood and people I know in real life actually don't understand what I do. And for the fact that I collect Thomas the Tank. This stuff here is Bob the Builder toys. That was at this garage sale. It's actually very impressive, but this is a Thomas the Tank video. We will maybe look at those another time. Interesting toys those from, well, not that long ago. But I'm sure there were many Bob the Builder fans, and there were some great toys with that franchise. And the house I picked this stuff up from was just down the road. I was going for a morning walk, and I actually saw that on a table. And it had me going inside, because I actually just thought, well, that's a pretty cool bag. And then the mum in the home, who knows me from my daughter's school, said, "Are you into that, are you?" I said, "Well, yes." A little bit shy in telling her the truth there. And she says, "Well, you might be interested in what's inside this box here." Well, the shoe box had $2 on it. I'll tell you what, when I saw inside this, I ended up giving these people a lot more than $2. It has in there one of the holy grails of Thomas the Tank collecting. But before we get into it, let me just push this stuff aside, because there's a bit more of a story to go on with that. Let's start getting some of this stuff out. And this is one of the items that, to be honest, I thought I'd never ever get. I don't know how much this stuff would be worth on eBay. Inside these boxes is actually more and more of this playset. It's also got the parts that everyone seems to be missing, and that is the ramps. This is a really, really nice find, I can assure you. I'll set it up and show you just how good this is. And this box just keeps giving and giving. Hey, look at that! It's a Subway Percy. Now, my Percy collection is getting very, very awesome. So on the table there is what was inside the shoe box. Yes, sure, these are very interesting, but to me the gold is with these parts here. More so for the fact that when you open these up, more and more of this system come out. What's coming out of these is truly amazing. Oh yeah, the Thomas goodness just keeps raining, doesn't it? We like it when it rains, especially when it's all this good stuff that is so hard to find. Just give me a moment, I'm just getting my head around how this all comes together, but from what I'm seeing already, boy oh boy, this is about as good as you can get. I've just got to work out where all these other bits and bobs go. Okay, hopefully I've got this assembled correctly. There's sort of an extra part there, but that will show you or demonstrate to you how the ramps work on this part of the playset. You know, if someone said to me, "Leo, could you show us an example of the golden era of Thomas and Friends toys?" What I would bring out would be this part here. This is the sort of stuff that gives you Thomas and Friends goosebumps. Well, let me turn this absolutely beautiful playset around nice and slowly, so you can just get a scope of what you're dealing with. Remember, when children play with toys like this, they're down at this level. They're looking at it as if they're in the playset, and this is right up at the pointy end of as good as it gets with Thomas and Friends merchandise. I would hate to think a mint version of this would be worth. I'm sure it would be worth something. I see on eBay, I see the individual pieces, as in the rolling stock. People are it's up into $20 for a knocked around piece. Maybe you've got stories where you've picked up something for near next to nothing. But I did give the person who had this, I explained to them, I said, look, this is a very hard to find, it's a very rare set, and I gave them a substantial amount of money for it, because I said, look, I'll be showing this online, and I feel like I'd be cheating you if I didn't give you the right amount of money. Oh boy, even when I start playing with this, I'm getting excited. There's Duck on the turntable, he's going to go into the sheds, and I think James is going to come out, so we can have a look at James. Noticing the paper faces on these miniature Ertls. And boy oh boy, don't they look absolutely fantastic. And watch out, here comes Thomas with Annie and Clarabelle. Notice that Thomas is missing the face there. That's pretty common with these older sort of toys. I don't mind if Thomas is knocked around, at least he's been given the Thomas love. And there goes Annie and Clarabelle. Choo choo. And Thomas comes around to the station. Watch out, Percy's in the way. And then Percy gives Thomas the shove back. Go back home, Thomas. I'm at the station first. And doesn't Percy look absolutely stunning as well? Up by the station is Bertie the Bass, drives down to the Focus, does a bit of a donut because we need to see all around Bertie the Bass. Looks nice, doesn't it? Yeah, and Bertie's just going to come up to the crossing. Crossing gate opens. Watch out, those mischievous twins, Bill and Ben are here as well. They're going to crash through the gate. And here comes Ben. Rammed up the back of Bill. And all that carnage was going on, ducks just sitting in the shed, being a very good engine. This toy here is a compelling argument for the fact that when small scale toys are done right, they are just as good as large scale toys. All the components in this playset basically just plug in. It wasn't too hard to work out. I thought it'd be a bit harder than what it was, but it actually all makes sense. Well, in saying that, I hope I've got everything in the right spot. It is nicely detailed. It's not overcomplicated. That's the coal area there for Bill and Ben. If I can get that piece back down again, but you know, it just shouts Thomas and Friends glory, and we would wish that one day we could get back to something like this. Like there's like the Fat Controller's control house there looking over the sheds. It's just amazing. And this here, I don't know if they're hills or whether they're clumps of trees, but they all just plug in and out of the playset. You know, there's a couple of decals being used. But it's all modular. You can connect it up in different ways, but as just for what it is, I mean, if you're going to give a toy points out of 10, well, this is right up there in the 15 out of 10 mark, or maybe even 20 out of 10. If I came in like Sherlock Holmes to reveal who was given the least and most amount of play, I'd say Duck is the cleanest here. He looks in very good condition. Well, the headlock's rolling over on his side. Percy has had a fair bit of play. A few paint chips. He's still got his face. Often underneath these toys will tell a story as well. On those little rollers. James looks like he's actually looks in pretty good condition. Bill and Ben, those troublesome little twins, actually look in pretty good nick. Mind you, I think Bill's got a few more knocks than Ben. Bertie is looking pretty good. Bertie would have been given a pummeling on this playset at some time, I'm sure, but the one who's been hammered the most, and it's not a surprise, is Thomas the Tank, Annie and Clarabelle. As I've been showing you this playset, I've had the camera up nice and close. It's difficult to understand the scale of this until you see it against something that you understand the size of. Maybe the best way for me to show you is if I land a take-along Thomas there, which is like the earlier version. This one is a curious one because he's got a plastic boiler. The ones you want to get if you are going to collect take-alongs is the all-metal one. And I'll also land on a wooden Thomas here as well. And hopefully now you can start to understand the absolute sheer beauty of this ERTL miniature playset when you see it up against the larger engines. Well, I've seen other people show these on YouTube, but rarely do I ever see people who have the ramps. And because they've got rollers under these engines, the trains can roll down the ramps. And the way it all connects together is lovely. Imagine if you were young and you're going off to another family member's house, you wanted to take a little bit of your Thomas set along. Well, this is beautiful because this is how this all works. I mean, if only, oh boy, if only we had stuff like this today. Let me just pull this apart and I'll show you how it packs away. The ramp pieces pull off, put Duck down there before he goes AWOL on me. And underneath here, it's like a storage area inside, and I think that's the absolute charm, beauty and cuteness profound on this playset. And even the ramps fit in here as well. I don't know if I'll be able to get a second ramp in there or not. No, I wouldn't want to try my luck, but I'll throw Duck in so it doesn't feel too lonely. But that is Thomas and Friends gold. And if you're wondering how they marked up underneath in identification, it says ERTL, Dyersville, Iowa, USA, made in China. It's funny, when I think of Iowa, I think of that show American Pickers for some reason. So the million-dollar question is, how much would you be prepared to pay for a playset like this? It's very hard to find. It's tricky to find the characters. I do see up on eBay, well, for knocked around things, you'll see them going for maybe up around $10 at the highest if they're in pretty good nick. I have seen people trying it on for $20. So let's say, to call it $10, there'd be $10, $20, $30, $40, $50, $60, $70, $80, $90 worth of just characters there. Am I right in saying that what you see on the table there is worth up over $100? And factor into this that this playset here has all little itty bitty components that so often are missing. I have seen people with these, but there won't be any trees because bits like that so often fly away. The same with the houses and things. When you get toys like this, the problem with them is those itty bitty pieces quite often get lost along the way. Up on eBay I do see a miniature Clarabelle. The pictures are shocking. I mean, you can't tell anything from the pictures there what condition that is in. $8.99 US, it's a buy it now thing. 2 people are watching it, but the freight is $12.60. Well, eBay is always a great place to understand, or hopefully understand, what's rare and what's not. You don't find much miniature ERTL stuff on eBay. The one that I just showed you is up at the top of the listings under my search. There it is there, but that listing underneath has got 2 hours to go in the auction. It's a whole bunch of the normal sized ERTLs. It's got 12 bids on it. It's $100 at the moment. I wonder how high that's going to go. So this auction, there's 73 ERTLs there. There's a lot of pictures here to look at of the trains. It's $100 at the moment. It may creep up higher than that in the last couple of hours of this auction. Wow, some nice stuff there. Even I'll admit, lots of rep doubles of characters there you can see. There's a few more pictures. Let me go. More pictures here. Yeah, ooh, a couple of Bocos and Daisies. Wow. That's a nice collection now. Unfortunately, it looks like they don't ship outside of the USA. A couple of Diesels. Wow, stunning. So the auction's in its last couple of hours. $100 US for 73 ERTLs. That's actually pretty good value, but it looks like we've got some fierce bidding going on. Personally, I wouldn't want to pay any more than $150 US. And let's say if it was being shipped to Australia, well, you can basically, you know, add another, I don't know, $50 on top of that. And to me, that's just too much money for what I see. You'll probably find an eBay shark would come along, collect this up for, if it stays low, for a low price, and then basically divvy up what he sees there and upsells it again at a higher price. That seems to be the way it works on eBay these days. Well, I better keep moving along. It's a reminder to us all, well, apart from the glory days of Thomas and Friends Toys, when you go to yard sales or garage sales, sometimes there's a shoebox there which has some big surprises lurking inside. Anyway, let's move on to these guys next. Hey, oh yeah. Okay, chugging right along. Here is that Percy. It is one of the Subway toys. It's year 2000, which was a long time ago. I haven't got a Thomas of the Subway toys. There's one other I've got, and I've actually forgotten the character. From a long time back, it came through the charity shop. You don't see too many of those, which is sort of strange, but it's nice. Here is a Tomica TOMY Thomas. I've got one other of these, 2004. It's still in box. When I bought it in town, it was so expensive, I just left it in box, but this one looks in very, very good condition. It's a lovely Thomas. It's the way they all should be, for the fact we've got the splasher white there. It's beautiful. It's a nice scale as well. To give you an idea, there is a take-along just there. Hope that's giving you some idea of the scale. So it's a little bit smaller than a take-along. It's nice. You know, sometimes some companies just do it so well. And speaking of such companies, here's an ERTL Thomas. Remembering this was all packed inside that box with that miniature ERTL set. This is in remarkable condition. It's dated 1985. Spoken about that before, haven't I, in a video, because so many people get confused when they don't see a paper face. They say, oh Leo, how can it be 85? Well, it seems that sometimes the licensing info doesn't get changed. There's the Thomas gets changed along. You might have found the packaging around this one may have been like year 2000 or something, but nevertheless ERTL made stunning versions of the Thomas and Friends toys, and so often you will find that there'll be a sticker missing on the buffer there. That's a very, very common thing I've noticed that goes on. And to give you an idea of that one in very good condition, there was another one there which I think showed in the previous collecting video, and I mean that's when to me that's the Thomas Love, which that's the one with the funny eyes too. Yeah, oh dear, oh dear. Yeah, Thomases with funny eyes, I love them. I need more of them, because it's that sort of thing that makes your collection so much more entertaining. So, yeah, once again, I'd say, you know, if I saw that for $2, I wouldn't want to be paying, or maybe $5, I'm feeling silly. But if you're seeing it for $1, I think that's the right price. But for this one here, Personally, I would say, you know, you could put, considering it's in remarkable condition, it looks like it's had no play, and you can tell sometimes because there is no fluff and dirt caught up around the axles. This looks like it's pristine. Really, you could be putting maybe $10 on that one, I feel, just for the fact that it is in remarkable condition. And just stepping back to the previous episode, the people who identified this Farquhar station for the fact that it is the ERTL Gold Rail series. I have never seen that come through before, so that's why it was a Thomas and Friends mystery to me. Okay, moving right along at this garage sale, just down the road from me was also this bag of Thomas wooden stuff. I actually thought the bag looked pretty funky. I think it was $10 on this bag. Let's see what comes out. Oh yeah! Clanker, clanker, clanker. Okay, from this pile of wooden rubble, well, I can see a James there. I think it's one of the ones that you can pull back and it takes off. Another little generic item there. Ooh, what's this one here? Is that Edward? Ooh. Curious, there's no name underneath there. Oh, another little generic thing there. And I thought there was a Thomas here somewhere. Don't tell me he's buried. Out. Okay, Thomas, I'm coming to rescue you. Whew. Sorry about that. Hard to breathe down there, wasn't it? Yes, this is a Thomas the Tank. It's got a lot of love on it. No name underneath. Ooh, it's a nice one. As for the other bits and bobs of track, we've got some. I think that's just generic wooden track from who knows what. There's one here which has got the plastic connector. I have not seen that one before. That's a little bit like what you find in the IKEA system. I don't know, it may have been an earlier version of that. Oh, there's some brand name here. Is that going to help or hinder you? The Whistling Dixie line, precision crafted hardwood. Who knows, that sticker may have been put on, well, after. It might be from something else. I don't know. I don't know that much about wooden track or wooden track systems. All I know is there's lots of them. There's a crossing there, the boom gate missing. Some people, you know, get excited when they see signs like that. And there's a traffic signal one there. And it looks like it's got a station section as well, which is sort of semi-fallen apart. That used to go on there. It's got little people which look like that. It's got trees that look like that. Maybe you guys know that set, but what you're probably more interested in is not that. You probably want to see this stuff here. Well, first up is a 2004 TOMY James. It's in pretty good nick. I've seen these before in worse condition, often sun faded and things. It's got some sort of traction tire in the back there. There's a date down there. TOMY, we love to see TOMY on the toys because that generally means we've got a good Thomas toy in our hands. This one's got that feature, if I bring it back it'll come running. It's also got the freaky eyes that do things like that. And it's something you probably look at for hours and hours and hours. So yeah, maybe this is a reminder that sometimes that's all you need to give someone a little bit of Thomas joy. It's a very simple toy. The fact that it powers itself along, doesn't need batteries. It seems to be nice and robust. It certainly stood the test of time here, although it doesn't look like it had that much play. Let's move along to a wooden, I hope this is Edward. It looks pretty basic. There's no name underneath here. There's the face. Please be Edward, please, or else people will be screaming at me. It's a 1998 toy. If I look on the inside of the wheel there, I get around the right spot. Hopefully you'll see 1998 somewhere in there. I've lost it now. I was a bit surprised. Well, I'll be quite honest here. It looks like the knockoffs that you see coming out of China today. They have these stripped back versions that look very similar to this. But there'll be people out there who love the earlier Thomas and Friends wooden toys. I'm not that clued up on the early wooden stuff, and I've forgotten when the lead scare era was. I know my audience will know. Here is a great Thomas. It's a 1996. And if I spin the wheel around with the chainsaw going on next door, I can't win, can I? I like this because, look here, it's got the cracks there, it's got a lot of Thomas love. I mean, I can't fake that look onto a toy. It's got a face that many people would find endearing. This is the classic era of the wooden railway in a sense. It's probably the one that if you're going to be collecting it, you want to be going for the early stuff like this. And in my collection, I don't have too many of this early era Thomas, and I love it for the fact that it's got a lot of wear and tear and showing a ton of Thomas love. Also, this garage sale from the lady who had that lovely miniature ERTL set was another shoebox, and inside here was something which maybe we'll have a little peek at. And after we've peeked at that, we'll have a bit of a chat about that item there. There was a little city that keys together like jigsaw, but the fire engine doesn't work. But the one which does work, lucky for us, is the little train system. Let me set this one up for you. That is, if I can work out how this thing goes together. I'm not going to tell you how long it took me to work that out. I don't want to embarrass myself. What this does remind me of is, you know, the app games you see all the children play now, which are like the track builders? Well, this is like it in real life. I'm a bit of the war against apps at the moment because I've seen some of the destruction that they can do to children when they get hooked on them. Yeah, it's a nice little set, this. It keys together once you get your daddy brain working and you get it in the right combination. I mean, I hope I've built this right, but it looks pretty awesome. Little toy train is sort of cute. I can't see any brand names on this. It just seems to be generic no-name thing, which sometimes is sort of cool and sometimes fun to watch. Let me wind it up and we'll give it a spin. Okay, I've got the little train wound up and off it goes. Whoa, it's a high-speed unit. Oh, it's just crashed off the side there. Back on you go. Wow, it is, what's called? No, oh no, going around here again. Hey, this is going to do the full thing. Wow, I'm semi-surprised actually. Oh, sort of stuck there a bit. Keep going, little train. Needs a wind up, I think. Now I can tell you that a toy like this, in a funny way with today's children, isn't needed because all this can be generated on those free apps that you see everywhere. I think it does. Whoa, a couple of tight turns there. Then it heads back across the playset. It seems to do all the track, which is quite amazing. Wonder if my boy would be interested in this versus those endless train track building games he has on his iPad. So little train toy was wind up. Hey, wind up's cool, but the fire engine is battery powered, and I'll be quite honest, initially I couldn't get it to work, but I have done a fiddle diddle. Let me put a new battery in there and we'll cover up the brand name there, or people will get angry. And let's see if we can get this thing to work. Please work. Hey, yeah, the fire engine is fired up. Let me screw it back together. It gets me that shot. And it's another brain teaser for Daddy to work out this little playset. Well, after, let's say, a fair bit of Daddy time, I've got the, what would you call it, emergency side of this thing working, the fire engine and city side. It's rather nice, I must admit. I don't know, I just like toys like this because it's a bit of an insight into a bygone era in a sense. There's a lump here, which is a crisscross, and there's another one here which has got a, I should say, a hill or a lump there. It's actually a chicane. It's probably very hard for you to see the fact that this is risen up in the middle here. Once again, it's got like quite an eccentric, what would you call it, course. It does key in to the train one there. It's just a shame that one's not a battery powered, but then again, sometimes wind up is cool. Let me hit the power switch on this guy, if I can find it. Switch in the right direction. Okay, off it goes. Yeah, it's got like traction wheels on the back, or rubber tyres, is the best way of saying it. Whoa, bit of a catch there, but it's still going over that chicaney sort of thing. Around this way. I call it one of those, it's a Guinness toy. Like you basically just sit there and you can watch this for hours upon hours doing its thing. I'm into it. I don't know, maybe you don't like toys like this, but I do like toys like this because, well, they're just a bit of an insight into the days before the apps took over. Anyway, it's something a little bit different. I like a bit of diversity in my videos, and I'm sure that some of my audience would really enjoy seeing that little fire engine do its thing. I'm glad I got that up and running again. I think it was just one of those things where the toy had been sitting around idle for so long. It was a bit of a shock for the fact that it got some power back into it. I'll let you into one secret, it actually packs up a lot faster than what it set up. Like, it wasn't too hard to set up, it's just for the fact that, let's say I wasn't accustomed to building those lovely sets. At this garage sale, which had that funky Thomas stuff, there was also this Sony cassette recorder Walkman. This was one which back in the day was a fairly sought after item. I dare say it wouldn't have been cheap. This is the Sony stuff which is made in Japan, not like the Sony stuff of today, which is made in China. Notice it says recording here. So what was quite nice about this one, you could play the radio and you could also record the radio on a cassette because it was a cassette player and recorder. You remember cassettes? most of you probably never even touched them. To me, I think about cassettes, they're a thing of the 70s and part 80s, and then they disappeared. It looks in very good condition, and just like the Thomas toys, what you should look at on things like this if you are collecting these and trying to buy them is check out the battery area. Make sure it's nice and clean, because if the batteries have leaked, it will destroy this unit. That's the back there. Interesting, it says radio cassette quarter, made in Japan. Yeah, the person who had this was in the radio industry. Interesting person to chat to. There was actually a couple of stickers that I had related to the radio industry that we swapped. He was very keen to have. But when I saw this, and the strange thing is this never sold at the garage sale, and I went back and had a chat to them, and they basically gave that to me. And I just thought it'd be a nice little thing to bring onto YouTube to have a chat about, because I'm sure I would have thought there would have been people that collected this Sony stuff, which is oh so nice. But no, it just sat there, not sold. Only had a few dollars on it, never sold. Well, curiosity killed a cat. The one I've got's a WMGX51, and I'm looking on eBay, and I'm astonished at some of the prices that this so-called vintage or rare Sony Walkman stuff is going for. Like I've said before, I think the word vintage is very overused on eBay, or rare, more so. But like I thought, there's people who'd be collecting this stuff, people into audio stuff, a bit of history, a bit of a thing from a bygone era. But there's some prices here which are actually a little bit scary, and a fair bit of interest behind some of the stuff as well. Now, I just found an old listing, and this one it's sold. It's the same model. It's the WMGX51 radio cassette quarter, and it's sold for £56, which is $85 at today's currency rate, or in Australian dollars, that's $110. And here's another auction I just found, another old one where the item is sold. It's sold, this one, same model, for 70 British pounds. 37 bids, a lot of interest there. $106 that works out as, or 140 Australian dollars. That's some pretty good dough for some old bit of kit. Well, that's got everyone thinking, hasn't it? I remember these weren't cheap back in the day. This is the funky one because it recorded the radio. And I thought there might have been people out there who were into collecting this for the fact that it's Sony, made in Japan. When I saw it didn't go at the garage sale, I was very surprised. It had a whole bunch of accessories and peripherals with it. What I might do is give this back to the person who gave it to me, and just tell them what I found out about this. Maybe you got some stories about little bits of old technology that have pulled some pretty good prices. Well, I know my viewers love Thomas and Friends Mystery. These two toy Thomases came to me with signs on them saying it did not work. One's a Hit Toys company Thomas with batteries in, it weighs 260 grams. The other one is a Mattel with batteries in, 277 grams. The Hit Toys one is 2007. The Mattel one is a couple of years later at 2009. Now, at first glance, these toys look identical. There's actually a couple of subtle changes going on here, apart from the Mattel one weighing a bit heavier. And the curious fact that the Mattel one's got this white on here, this extra detailing, that's very unusual to see, and that actually helped me identify what this Thomas is and why I had trouble getting these to work as well. Let's take a close look at the Hit Toys one at the face, and maybe some people know what this Thomas is. It's got same switch on both. There's a lot of similarities going on here. I think the sticker details are slightly different between the two. The traction, this one here's only got a traction on one side of the back wheels there. We'll take a look at the batteries soon because the batteries are set up differently as well. This one here has got less plastic in what I call the area that would get crunched. When we take a look at the Mattel one, you'll find it's actually been built a little bit heavier, which it flies in the face of something I said in another video actually. For the fact this one, it's lighter, it's got some design changes which are very subtle, very hard to pick. Let's take a look at the Mattel one. And even when I just pick this up, you can feel the extra weight in this one. The sticker detail in this, I think it's got bigger cab windows there. It's got two, of the traction doodads going on there. It's got extra plastic added into the buffer zone here. This would be the area which, when it hits things, would be easily broken. So maybe there was some problems with the Hit Toy Company one, so Mattel came in and strengthened it up. Lots of similarities. In fact, there's probably way more similarities than differences going on between those two models. Maybe some side-by-side shots. will give you an idea of the similarities. There's the Hit Toy Company one, this one's the Mattel one. Just notice the extra eye detailing going on the Hit side. Devil's in the detail. You can probably see the differences between the cab stickers better by showing you like this. Looking at the side here, over on Hit Toy Company's side, the number 1 is slightly smaller than what is on Mattel, but on the Mattel model, this little detail here near the coal bunker is a slightly different shape than the Hit Toy Company Thomas. Looking at the rear, they look basically identical apart from the details on those rear wheels where the Mattel one has the double traction tyres. One difference that did catch me by surprise is the way the battery compartments are on these toys. Let me show you. On the Hit Toys Thomas, the batteries are lined up where the positives are both at one end, the negatives are at the other end together. The only other thing I know which is like that is an Apple mouse. The battery's in an Apple mouse. On the Mattel Thomas here is what I'd call the conventional layout I see in batteries and toys, where you have positive, negative, positive, negative. The battery area on both of these toys is in a remarkable condition. I cannot see any sign of leaking batteries, which is often the reason why toys don't work. I may be showing you one of the major differences between the toys. I can't get the Mattel Thomas battery cover to work on the Hit Toys Company one. It's almost like they came from two totally different versions of Sodor Island. So once I get the right battery cover on there, I'm home and hosed. I know my channel, we love Thomas mysteries. Seeing these two toys turn up were basically in, well, very good condition with very little play and signs on them that said they did not work was a mystery to me. Initially I thought I was dealing with a Shake and Go Thomas. I've actually got a Shake and Go Thomas here, even though it's been dressed up as Redbird, but the Shake and Go Thomas is actually a fair bit taller. And it's a bit different in design. If I turn it on, it's a sort of Thomas that if you turn it on, and you give it a good shake, it should take off and go. Whoa! Let me turn that one off. Let me bring this other one back in. And it wasn't until I had a very good search online at some pictures, and the giveaway was actually the Mattel one. And the bit of detail that really made it stand out was the fact that it's got this splash of white. And that's a little bit unusual, especially on the Mattel Thomases. Now, one thing about both of these Thomases is there's absolutely no indication on the Thomas of what style of Thomas this is. So anyone who picked this up would not know that this is a particular and very special style of Thomas. What they need to do, and this is the Hit Toy Company one I have in my hands here, they need to actually put into the plastic what name this Thomas is, and then that gives a major clue to how this Thomas works. Mind you, the Thomas, the way it is at the moment, if I turn it on, it's got batteries in it. If I shake it, it does nothing. If I bang it on the ground, it does nothing. If I push it along, it does nothing. It seems dead as a dodo until I bring in a very important piece of Thomas merchandise. So these two beautiful Thomas models actually need something very special to make them work, and along it comes. I've actually had one of these land on me, and this actually turned up in just a bag of Thomas collectibles that came from the charity shop. And like when this turned up, oh, well, I thought nothing of it initially. It says 2009 Mattel. Now, watch what happens when I blow this. Both those Thomases are on. Here we go. And away they go. So it's another Thomas mystery, hopefully resolved. Now, when I looked at the pictures online, I found out that it's called a Whistle and Go Thomas, but nowhere on this toy does it tell me that. So there'll be many of these toys out there in people's houses, and once you've lost the whistle, well, you've sort of got a bit of a toy that does nothing. Let me give it a few instructions via whistle. I can't talk during this, but watch how it performs under the whistle. And it's the Mattel Thomas we're dealing with. Here we go. Stop, he's out of control. He's out of control. He's lost it. He's lost it. Okay, let me try the other Thomas. Well, let me turn on the Hit Toys one. I've actually noticed the Mattel one goes completely wonko on me. There may be a bit in a fail reel which features him. Okay, let's try the Hit Toys Company Thomas. I've got the Mattel whistle with the Hit Toys Company Thomas. Here we go. He's a little bit more sedate. He's actually seems totally differently geared, different speeds. Another blow. Okay, another blow. Whew, only just. Nearly died then. Okay, hopefully go backwards now. Well, that was the word hopefully, but it didn't happen like that, did it, Thomas? Let me grab the Mattel whistle and go, Thomas, let me make sure it is turned on, and let me show you a couple of crazy whistle things. That is the whistle that works with this Thomas, okay? It's a fat controller. There's also a little red one as well that I saw on pictures online, but you blow that, makes the Thomas go. If you blow a normal whistle like that, let me watch what happens when I blow this. Totally useless, okay? Let me blow a whistle like this. You know, ones like that. Okay, it's a nice one, isn't it? Something Alaska, something there. Let me blow this one, watch what happens. Whoa! It works, he's just taken out the fat controller. Now let me see if I can control it further. He's out of control again! Stop, Thomas, stop! Stop! Oh! Anyway, that Mattel Thomas seems to be totally out of control. When it does get up and going, it'll just, well, you just saw it, just wiped out the fat controller. I seem to have very little control over that one. Let me try the Hit Toys one with that other whistle. Not being the fat controller's whistle, but that one there. Let me give it some space there. Okay, one blow. Okay. I'll give it another blow, see what happens. Oh, just stopped. Why? Why did you just stop? Yeah, I am getting control out of this. Yeah, maybe people out there have had this Thomas and can tell me more about whistle controls. I'm getting some success, but I tell you what, it can be fairly infrequent. But nevertheless, it's actually a whole ton of fun controlling Thomas with the whistle. So now we know some more about this style of Thomas and the fact that it needs a very important whistle to make it work. Maybe for the fact these turned up without the whistle is the reason why they are in such good condition. And hopefully after all of that, it's another Thomas and Friends mystery which is solved. This next Thomas is one that I've already got one of, but this one is in better condition. To wake him up, you just twist the funnel here, and hopefully it'll get up and do its thing. We've got a funny feeling this one needs some snappier batteries in him. I'll come in and stop this one. I love the way this one turns on and off, for the fact that he sort of blinks to do that. And we'll check out what the battery compartment's doing. This all singing, all dancing. Thomas is a TOMY one, 1998. Was that the golden era of Thomas toys? One wonders what damage the old batches have done. Who knows how long they've been in here for. All I know is that they're on their last legs. Amazing that they could even power this toy up. Let's have a look. It doesn't look too bad. Everybody blacks. Well, this time around, it looks like the battery compartment is in very good condition, and that doesn't happen always. Let me slip in something nice and fresh. I've covered up the brand. It's not brand rage on my channel. It's positives, both at one end. And in no time at all, we'll be whistling Dixie. Okay, here is this beautiful TOMY musical Thomas, the one which has landed on me in the last year. I've brought out the other one to prove to you that I've got two of them, or you'd be thinking, oh, Leo's playing games here. Now, from memory, I thought this one didn't work. Now, I've just had to fill in the battery area and put some batteries in out of curiosity, and it has come to life. Maybe it's going to play up on me now. And it will. Oh yeah, it's just, there's either the switch here is a bit fiddly, or the fact the batteries have to be in a very particular way. But that Thomas is not as in good condition as this one here. This one here seems to be in much better condition. Here's a look at the discs and the songs that are on the discs. Hopefully I've got them around the right way so you can read them. It's sort of like old technology, this, isn't it? In this digital age here, looking at this as a way to play music looks very archaic. I was hoping to see maybe Smoke on the Water as a piece of music. But we're not getting that, are we? And I think the last one we'll look at here is the Thomas theme. And maybe that's the one we'll take a listen to. I like these Thomas toys in a collecting sense because they're nice and large, they're very imposing, and the fact that they've got their eyes closed also makes them, how would you say, you know, people will look at that face for the fact the eyes are closed. Some people might say it's a little bit spooky, but I like the fact that the eyes can be closed or open, or even, you know, oh, I'm waking up now. You know, you can do all sorts of things if you're half bored. There's a Thomas theme, it goes in here. Okay, that there I believe is like a volume. You can actually just turn it right down and you can hear the whirring of the machine. And in the cold bunker is the place to put the other discs. Let's give this Thomas a spin. Rather nifty having it on off on the funnel there. And away Thomas goes. Probably another DMCA for me. And to totally do your head in, let's throw another Thomas in on the equation. And maybe they can battle it out. Oh, this one's having a bit of a stall here. Both. It's like dueling Thomases. Well, you can watch that all day, but we're not going to go there, are we? Ladies and gentlemen, I honestly can't remember when I showed the first one. I just, in my memory, I've got a feeling there was problems with it. I remember when I tried to battery it up this time, it didn't want to work until I really filled it with it. I mean, I'm glad I've got that one working. Let me just show you the volume control, because you're going to be saying, hey, you didn't show the volume control this time, Leo. Well, let's do it. Okay, there it is there. And well, it takes the music away, but there's still a lot of what I call mechanical chatter. Yeah. I don't know, it's a bit of a toy from a bygone era. You definitely don't see toys like this today, which is sort of a shame. It's a very nice Thomas, and Tomy used to do some very, very nice Thomas toys. Okay, Thomas, time for a sleep. Peace at last. Well, sadly, episode 13 needs to finish. I hope it's not an hour long like episode 12 was. I really don't like doing hour-long videos on YouTube because I know the audience tends to struggle watching an hour-length YouTube video. One person made a comment on episode 12 and I said, hey Leo, why don't you get your check out Cranky and put it on the miniature ERTL set that I sneak peeked on episode 12. And you know what? This is a beautiful idea. I think check out Cranky is a great scale to work on that miniature ERTL set. In the last few Thomas collecting videos, there's been much talk and emphasis on the damage that batteries do to toys. I'm lucky these two Eveready black batteries here have not leaked, so the toy that these came out of is actually in very good condition. That doesn't happen very often. When we kick off episode 14, we're going to start off with this Thomas here, and I think this Thomas here is going to show you the absolute nightmare that leaking batteries can be in a toy, and how maybe this Thomas here has been destroyed by them. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Getting that miniature Thomas ERTL set was a major breakthrough in my collection. As always, at the end of the video, I say this. Thanks for watching and bye for now. Well, I know you'll be screaming, Leo, what about that auction of 73 ERTLs? Well, I've gone back. The auction is now finished. And it ended up selling for $100 US. There were 13 bids. There was no last minute, panic bidding going on. So I think it works out at about $1.40 per ERTL, and I think that's a pretty good deal for whoever picked up that auction. Well done. And on this auction, we can't see what the shipping costs would be, but if it's within the USA, which the seller wanted to sell to, it's going to be a very low figure. And there's the bidding history up near the end if anyone's curious. Watch out, the mischievous twins, Bill and Ben, are coming along and they're going to crash through the gate. Oh no, he's stacked. And here comes Ben. Oh, Bill's taking a dive and Ben's going to crash through the barrier. Doesn't care about Bertie. And give it a shake and hopefully it'll go. Sometimes. Sometimes it goes. Not always. But watch what happens when I blow this whistle. Watch these guys come to life. Here we go. And away they go. Well, that's on the fail reel. One's gone mental. As long as you got a whistle, these are great toys to play with. Whistles like that, I'm sure you know those sorts of whistles. He's taken off by himself.